There's a kind of emptiness that doesn't show from the outside. Everything works. You do what you're supposed to do. You keep your end up. Nobody will say that anything was wrong. And still, you stand there one evening, feeling that none of it quite reaches you, that you'll be present everywhere except with yourself. A woman in a German monastery felt that way at 25. Her name was Gertrude. She was born in 1256 and given to the monastery at Helfta when she was 4 or 5 years old. We don't know why. We don't even know her parents' names. She grew up inside those walls among the sisters, and she turned out to be unusually gifted. Latin, rhetoric, writing, song. She read everything she could get hold of. And then nothing much happened for nearly 10 years. She kept the forms of monastic life, went to the hours, did what was asked. But her heart was somewhere else, in the books, in the studies, in the things that she was good at. She would later describe those years without sparing herself, all that learning, and still an emptiness that nothing filled. And Helfta was no ordinary monastery. At that point, it was one of the most learned houses in Germany. And almost everyone living in it was a woman. They read, they wrote, they taught each other. Mechthild of Heckeborn was there, running the choir school, and there too, old and nearly blind, came Mechthild of Magdeburg, who we made a whole episode about. The sister took her in and became her eyes. That's the house Gertrude grew up in. She was surrounded by women who took God seriously, long before she did herself. Then came an evening in January 1281. She was 25. She had just prayed Compline, the last prayer of the day, the one you say as the lights go out. And there, in the most ordinary moment imaginable, she saw Christ standing in front of her as a young man. He didn't come as a judge. He didn't come to list what she neglected. He invited her, and he promised to fill the very emptiness she'd been carrying. That's the whole turning point. No thunder, no stern voice, just someone closing the distance. From that evening, she turned away from the studies that she loved and toward scripture instead. But what matters isn't what she gave up. What matters is that her faith stopped being a subject and became a relationship. The image she came back to for the rest of her life was the heart of Christ. Not as a symbol, but as a place. Somewhere you could go in. Somewhere nothing you brought with you could be turned away. Not your failure, not your carelessness, not the years you went through the motions without meaning them. Centuries later, that image would grow into one of the Church's best loved devotions. It's worth stopping at what she doesn't say. She doesn't say you have to get better first. She doesn't say sort yourself out and come back when you're in order. She'd been through 10 years of just about fine herself. And it was in the middle of those years that he came. The sisters at Helfta wrote of her that she was like iron put into fire. In the end, she wasn't just burning, she had become fire. If you want to try her way, you need no technique. Do what she did, at the hour she did it. Last thing at night, when the things you didn't get to are still rubbing at you. Sit down, don't say anything wise. Picture yourself instead leaning against someone who already knows everything about the day you had and doesn't move away. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to perform. You're allowed to rest there a while. Gertrude didn't think that was imagination. She thought it was the most real thing there was. In time, she became the one the sisters came to when life got hard. She wrote a book of prayers and meditations herself, the spiritual exercises, meant to help other women further along the road. And her visions were gathered into a work called the Herald of Divine Love. Only one of these 5 books is in her own hand. The rest the sisters put together from her notes, from what she had told them. A monastery writing down one of its own. She's called a Gertrude the Great. She's the only woman in the history of the Church to be given that word. She died around 1301, in the monastery she came to as a child. She never traveled anywhere. She founded nothing, reformed nothing, wrote no letters to popes. She was a small child with the gate closed behind her, and she lived her whole life inside the same walls. Everything she wrote is about someone who came in.